The courtroom was eerily silent, the hum of whispers barely audible as the heavy doors creaked shut. In the center of the room stood a 14-year-old girl, her posture unnervingly stiff, her gaze barely lifting to meet anyone's eyes. Dressed in a simple, plain dress, she looked out of place amidst the sea of dark suits and polished shoes. The judge, a middle-aged man with a strong jaw and an intimidating air, eyed her with skepticism. "Are we really doing this?" he muttered under his breath, a wry smile playing at the corners of his lips. His voice echoed throughout the courtroom, his tone mocking yet surprisingly calm. The girl didn't react. No one in the room knew that behind her quiet demeanor lay a mind sharper than most could fathom. "Your Honor," the prosecutor began, "this is the young lady accused of hacking into a highly classified system. A 14-year-old girl responsible for some of the most complex breaches we've ever seen." The judge smirked, barely hiding his disbelief. "A girl hacking?" He glanced at her again, then sighed. "This is ridiculous," he said, almost chuckling. "And you're telling me a girl like her managed to outsmart the entire system?" The room waited. The girl said nothing. Her silence was deafening, yet it told a story in itself, one no one had yet begun to understand. The judge's mocking tone was nothing more than a fleeting moment in the grander scheme of things. Because what no one knew, what no one could have predicted, was that this was just the beginning. The moment everyone in that courtroom dismissed her, they unknowingly set the stage for a revelation that would shake the very foundation of their beliefs. But what if Sophia had not just hacked into a system, but had uncovered something far worse? Something that threatened more than just her future? What if the system she had infiltrated was designed not just to track criminals, but to manipulate the lives of innocent people? What could possibly justify this? The judge asked again, still waiting for the girl to speak, her silence unnerving him further. But what would happen next would change everything. What if the girl standing there, appearing so insignificant, was actually a genius far beyond anyone's understanding? Her name was Sophia, and in her world, silence was a shield. At 14, she had lived in the background, the quiet observer in a world that always overlooked her. At school, her peers barely noticed her, and at home, her genius went unrecognized. It was easier to fade into the background than to try to explain the patterns, the codes, the problems she saw that no one else did. Sophia had always been brilliant, but her talents had always been dismissed. There was a part of her that craved recognition, but at the same time, she feared it. She didn't want to be noticed for the wrong reasons. But one day, when her father was arrested on charges related to a shadowy, large-scale operation she never fully understood, Sophia was driven to uncover the truth. The system that had torn her family apart was hiding something far worse than she could have imagined. Her motivations weren't driven by malice or rebellion. She never intended to break the law or cause harm. She simply wanted to know how things worked, to challenge herself in ways her peers couldn't understand. Her curiosity had led her into the depths of the very system that was now trying to destroy her. But as the courtroom stared at her with judgmental eyes, they couldn't fathom the depths of her mind. Her motivation had always been simple: to understand, to learn, to prove that she was more than the world had given her credit for. The inciting incident came unexpectedly, during an afternoon when Sophia was supposed to be doing homework. Bored and restless, she found herself tracing the code patterns of a highly secure system she had stumbled upon months ago. It was a system designed to track suspicious activity, but as she poked around, she noticed something, a flaw, a vulnerability she couldn't resist. Curiosity gnawed at her, urging her to explore further. Before she knew it, she had uncovered something far beyond the system's original design. A hidden file, encrypted and secured. She wasn't sure what it contained, but she knew that accessing it was both dangerous and groundbreaking. Her fingers danced over the keys. It wasn't long before she cracked it open. In doing so, she unknowingly triggered a chain of events that would escalate quickly: alarms, security breaches, and the discovery of her activities by those far more powerful than she could ever imagine. What she found, however, was something far worse than a simple data breach. She had uncovered a covert program designed to manipulate and control people's lives. This was no ordinary surveillance system. It wasn't about catching criminals. It was about identifying innocent people, targeting them, and using their data for political and corporate gain. Sophia had broken the law, yes, but in doing so, she had uncovered something far bigger, a conspiracy and a system built on lies. Now, she was the one being hunted, but she knew she had no choice but to expose the truth. As the trial progressed, Sophia's quiet demeanor continued to unsettle the room. The prosecutor painted her as a criminal mastermind, her hacking skills more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The defense tried to argue her innocence, but no one seemed willing to listen. She was just a 14-year-old girl who had stumbled too far into a world she didn't understand. Sophia's only ally was her lawyer, Mr. Dawson, a soft-spoken man who recognized the brilliance beneath her silence. But at first, even Mr. Dawson had his doubts. He was used to defending people, but this was different. He didn't fully believe her story, not until he saw the way she meticulously explained the series of events, detailing the codes, the systems, the breaches. He started to see it, the brilliance, the strategy behind her every move. Slowly, Mr. Dawson began to believe. She wasn't just a hacker. She was a whistleblower. Someone who had found the truth buried in a system designed to hide it. The case against her was growing stronger by the minute. With every piece of evidence, Sophia's fate seemed more and more sealed. Yet she remained unfazed. She had already seen enough to know the truth. There was something bigger at play, something she hadn't yet fully uncovered. And deep down, she knew the key to exposing it was within her reach. Then came the twist. The prosecution revealed a critical piece of evidence, encrypted communications between Sophia and an anonymous individual known only as Cypher. The revelation shocked the courtroom. Was Sophia part of a larger conspiracy? Was she merely a pawn in someone else's game? The accusations mounted. Even Mr. Dawson was beginning to lose hope. But Sophia wasn't ready to give up. She had one last card to play. And when she spoke, for the first time in the entire trial, the courtroom fell silent. Sophia wasn't just some girl who hacked a system. She was a whistleblower. And she had the proof to expose everything. The system wasn't just about surveillance. It was about controlling lives, ruining innocent people's reputations, influencing elections, and silencing anyone who opposed the powerful elites. And she had the final piece of evidence, a file, proof of the cover-up. The courtroom fell into stunned silence. The charges against her were dropped. The people behind the conspiracy were arrested. And Sophia? She became a hero. But the victory was bittersweet. For the first time in her life, the world finally saw her. Not just for her brilliance, but for her courage to stand up for the truth. Now the question remains. Do you believe the truth will always prevail? Or do you think the system will always try to silence those who dare to speak out? Let's talk about it. Tell us your thoughts in the comments below.